In this podcast episode, Jordan Peterson engages in a conversation with Alex O'Connor, also known as Cosmic Skeptic, who runs the podcast Within Reason. They delves into topics of belief, skepticism, and the nature of religious beliefs. O'Connor begins by discussing the early church debates about the physicality of Jesus' resurrection. He contrasts the canonical tradition, which holds that Jesus physically resurrected, a belief essential in Catholicism, with the Gnostic tradition, which views the resurrection as an internal event attained through gnosis rather than a literal occurrence. O'Connor expresses his view that proactively believing in certain historical events as outlined in the Bible is essential for maintaining faith. He emphasizes the importance of acknowledging the historical context of religious stories and the need to approach them with a critical yet respectful mindset. The conversation then shifts to the role of skepticism in challenging beliefs. O'Connor emphasizes that skepticism should be used to rectify ignorance rather than to win arguments. He reflects on his evolution in thinking, noting that he used to focus on winning debates, but now values constructive conversations where learning can take place. The nature of belief is another focal point, with O'Connor attempting to understand Peterson's worldview. They discuss the complexity of defining belief, especially in religious contexts. Peterson explains that belief goes beyond mere agreement with facts and involves commitment and action. He underscores the importance of precision in speech and understanding others clearly. O'Connor provides insights into the nature of truth in storytelling, using examples like the story of Cain and Abel from the Bible. He discusses how certain stories, like the fratricide in the Cain and Abel narrative, may have a core truth, but evolve over time to become maximally memorable accounts. The concept of God is explored, with Peterson discussing God as the basis of a value hierarchy, existing outside of the categorical structure and not bound by time or space. They touch on the historical evolution of the concept of God in the Judeo-Christian tradition, from a more physical being to a more abstract entity. O'Connor raises questions about the historical Jesus and the mythological aspects attributed to him. Peterson acknowledges Jesus' historical existence and the profound religious significance attributed to him. He emphasizes the inexhaustible interpretive space of biblical texts and the multiple interpretations they can yield. Peterson and O'Connor explore the idea of truth in relation to religious narratives, drawing parallels between Darwinian concepts and religious symbolism. They discuss the evolutionary argument against naturalism, highlighting the challenge of reconciling materialist beliefs with the reliability of rational faculties. O'Connor raises questions about the nature of truth and the role of belief in survival, prompting a deeper examination of the intersection between science and religion. The interpretation of biblical stories is another key topic, with a focus on distinguishing between historical accuracy and mythological symbolism. O'Connor reflects on the complexity of religious texts, noting the presence of different genres and layers of meaning within them. He emphasizes the need for discernment when approaching religious narratives, acknowledging the blend of historical events and symbolic elements present in these stories. As the discussion progresses, O'Connor and Peterson explore the concept of religious stories as memes, highlighting the role of symbolism and archetypes in shaping cultural beliefs. They delve into the significance of interpreting religious texts through a multidimensional lens, considering the timeless truths embedded in these narratives. O'Connor challenges conventional notions of truth and historical accuracy, advocating for a nuanced understanding of religious symbolism and its impact on belief systems. The conversation culminates in a reflection on the Exodus story and its relevance to contemporary beliefs. O'Connor and Peterson discuss the plausibility of historical events depicted in religious texts, emphasizing the enduring themes and moral lessons conveyed through these stories. They navigate the complexities of faith, skepticism, and the afterlife, exploring the interplay between belief systems and personal convictions. The nature of reality and the concept of abstraction are also explored. O'Connor and Peterson discuss the idea that numbers and abstract concepts can be more real and powerful than physical objects. They touch upon the significance of numeracy and abstraction in human survival and the role of fiction as a hyper-real abstraction. The importance of choosing the appropriate level of analysis when interpreting events or texts is another topic of discussion. O'Connor emphasizes the need to consider the functional grip and utility of different levels of resolution in understanding complex phenomena. He highlights the significance of aligning one's perception with higher values and beliefs to gain a deeper understanding of reality. O'Connor references Gnostic texts like the Testimony of Truth, which identify the serpent in the Garden of Eden with Christ. He explores the symbolism and deeper meanings behind biblical narratives, such as the fall of man and the role of the serpent as a catalyst for knowledge and consciousness. O'Connor reflects on the theological genius of the author of the Gospel of John and the symbolic significance of Christ's identification with the serpent in the desert. He discusses the complex layers of meaning in biblical texts and the importance of interpreting them within their historical and theological contexts. The Genesis account of the Garden of Eden and the symbolism of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil are also examined. O'Connor raises questions about the nature of God, free will, and the role of the serpent in the biblical narrative. He challenges traditional interpretations of religious texts and encourages a critical and open-minded approach to exploring complex philosophical and theological concepts. The role of the serpent in the story of Adam and Eve is further discussed, highlighting its cunning and subtle nature. O'Connor and Peterson explored different interpretations of the serpent's actions and its implications on human consciousness and morality. O'Connor brings up the idea of the serpent being an agent of Lucifer, symbolizing enlightenment and rebellion against established norms. The concept of moral presumption and the consumption of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil is another topic of discussion. O'Connor questions whether the act of eating the fruit led to moral enlightenment or moral downfall. Peterson adds his perspective on the consequences of Adam and Eve's actions, suggesting that their banishment from the garden was a result of their overreach and pride rather than a punishment from God. The role of masculine and feminine consciousness in the story of Adam and Eve is also explored. Peterson explains how Adam represents the ordering principle, while Eve symbolizes the voice of the excluded and vulnerable. He emphasizes the importance of balance between masculine and feminine energies in creating harmony and order in society. O'Connor and Peterson touch upon the idea of canonical interpretations of texts and the importance of aligning interpretations with the cosmic order. They discuss the use of large language models to analyze and interpret classic texts such as the Bible, Quran, and other religious scriptures. The conversation explores the differences between Christianity and Islam in terms of textual interpretation and the role of sacred texts in shaping belief systems. The story of Abraham as a call to adventure and the alignment with the cosmic order through sacrificial ethos and paternal care is another topic of reflection. O'Connor and Peterson discuss the significance of mythological stories in conveying deep truths about human nature and morality. They explore the concept of objective morality and the limitations of grounding morality solely in rationality. The concept of vicarious redemption, where Christ takes on the sins of humanity, is also discussed. Peterson explains that while there is a sense of divine allyship in Christianity, individuals are still responsible for carrying their own burdens and striving towards the good. He highlights the paradoxical nature of Christian belief, where one must both accept help from a higher power and actively engage in the pursuit of meaning and responsibility. O'Connor raises questions about the appropriateness of using religious language in secular contexts and challenges Peterson on his views regarding hell and the afterlife. Peterson acknowledges the complexity of these topics and the limitations of human understanding when it comes to concepts like eternity and divine judgment. He emphasizes the importance of striving for truth and the redemptive power of taking on personal responsibility. The role of language in communication and the value of precision in conveying ideas is another topic of discussion. Peterson and O'Connor explore the idea of mutual understanding and the potential for growth and learning through dialogue. They discuss the Christian notion of walking the path of Christ and the transformative power of self-sacrifice and responsibility.